Okay, so I talked about growth factors in my last lecture, but since you have not read about signal transduction pathways, there is an evident gap in understanding the concept of growth factors. So I'll give you a more detailed view on it. So mammalian cell cycle में जो सबसे closely regulated step होता है वो है एस फेज में एंट्री, जो सेल को कमिट कर देती है कि या तो सेल डिवीजन साइकिल कंप्लीट करेगा या फिर सेल डिवीजन नहीं होगी और सेल आगे सरवाइव नहीं करेगा. So entry into S phase normally requires an extracellular signal such as that given by mitogen factors, commonly called as growth factors. So growth factors are proteins secreted by cells to induce their own division. अगर वो खुद प्रोड्यूस करते हैं तो उसको हम ऑटोक्रीन मैकेनिज्म कहते हैं, और secreted by neighboring or distant cells to induce cell division, that is called as paracrine mechanism. Now, a low concentration of growth factor proteins is almost always present in the extracellular environment of mammalian cells and required to maintain cell survival. Higher concentrations of growth factor proteins then cause target cells containing specific receptors for the growth factor proteins to divide. Now let's see how do they work. So growth factor proteins, they bind to growth factor receptors on cellular plasma membranes. This binding causes the receptor proteins to dimerize or polymerize in the plasma membrane, which is an essential step for transmission of the growth factor signal. The growth factor proteins utilize various mechanisms for oligomerization of receptor proteins. So I'll show you an example here. Yeah. So platelet derived growth factor, that is PDGF. This forms a homodimer with two equivalent receptor binding sites, as you can see in the figure. So PDGF, it forms a homodimer with two equivalent receptor binding sites that bind and join two receptor proteins together to form a receptor dimer in the plasma membrane. Now what happens? Binding of PDGF as a dimer causes its membrane receptor also to dimerize. The tyrosine kinase activity in the cytoplasmic region of one receptor protein then phosphorylates tyrosine residues shown as Y in the figure. So the tyrosine kinase activity in the cytoplasmic region of one receptor protein then phosphorylates tyrosine residues in the cytoplasmic region of the neighboring receptor protein. So you can see how binding of this growth factor leads to further transmission of the signal by phosphorylation of tyrosine residues, and the dimer is formed. There are many other examples, but I'm not quoting them here, not explaining them here. This was briefly about growth factor signal transduction pathway, just to give you an overview. You'll cover this in detail in signal transduction when it is covered. Okay, regarding the statement that cancerous cells also require much less supply of nutrients, which one of the students quoted, I'm sorry, this statement as such without any context and further information doesn't make sense. So, but I'll tell you about the metabolic changes that occur in cancerous cells. Probably you have not read when you were taught about integration of metabolism, जब आपका diabetes, starvation and lactic acidosis, pregnancy must have been covered. तब आपको cancer cells में कैसे metabolism change होता है ये आपको तब नहीं बताया गया probably. So I'll tell you right now. So tumors are composed of cancer cells that have to be fed like all cells. But unlike most normal tissues, tumor function independently of the feed-fast cycle or the starve-feed cycle. Their demand for glucose as a source of energy and amino acids for protein synthesis is incessant. They usually prefer glucose and they rarely adapt in the fasting phase of the starve feed cycle to use fatty acids and ketone bodies in order to minimize their use of glucose for the benefit of rest of the body. So they need glucose. And most tumors are unresponsive to the hormonal changes that alter the metabolic processes in normal tissues. And in an advanced cancer disease, so cells in the core of a tumor, as the tumor spreads, it grows, cells in the core of a tumor are often hypoxic because cancers often outgrow the development of blood vessels that supply oxygen. So lack of oxygen in any cell, for that matter hypoxia in any cell, normal or cancerous, it leads to an increase in a certain transcription factor called hypoxia inducible factor 1 alpha, HIF 1 alpha. It's a remarkably potent transcription factor for activation of genes encoding glucose transporters and glycolysis enzymes. So as a consequence of the action of HIF-1 alpha, most cancerous tumors have exceptional capacity for generation of ATP by glycolysis. But glycolysis is not an efficient process. We all know that. It's not an efficient process compared to complete oxidation of glucose, but the facts remain the fact. Efficient utilization of body resources is certainly not a characteristic of a cancer tissue. And it is the exceptional capacity for ATP generation by glycolysis which enables cancer cells to survive and grow as they spread and metastasize into regions of low oxygen tension. I ended up with this thought in your mind that try to understand the difference. Unexplained weight loss as unexplained weight loss, decreased appetite and decreased food intake as the patients with advanced cancer disease may present with. This is not synonymous with the body cells or the tumorous cells requiring less nutrient supply. So I hope you can make out what that statement probably meant.